Well, hey, it is good to check in with you. In addition to our worship services that we'll offer once again this week at 9:30 and 11, for you, worship at 8. We hope you understand and can check in with either of those services that will live stream on our Facebook page and then that will be available on our website as well. I just wanted to check in with you again in other ways throughout the week. And today I want to share a word with you that I'm calling Prioritize a Call. It might be helpful to have a title. Jason Locker, our chancel choir director, and so much more. What a great disciple he shared with us. And I want to encourage you to take a look at that link on our site or to check out Facebook and listen in to the beautiful things that he shared with us. Truly words of peace in the midst of this pandemic. On Tuesday, my brother-in-law called me. Steve calls me periodically, and he calls me simply to say, okay, Rob, what can I be praying for? And I shared with him some very specific things that some of you are going through. And then I simply said, Steve, pray with me, pray for me and with me as a pastor that I might be who I need to be at this very unique time for the people of this congregation and the people of this community. This last week, thinking of making phone calls, even though I do this every week, I think I've made more calls to some of you who are dealing with things some of you I haven't seen for a while, connecting through phone calls with probably more of you over the last 2 weeks, just to check in and just to see how you're doing. As we think about those phone calls, Steve's to me and mine to many of you, I want to encourage you today to simply ask yourself this question: who is God asking you to call right now? When I use the words prioritize a call today, first off, I do literally mean making a phone call. Simple as it sounds, it's so important. But I want to say also, when it comes to making a phone call, to do that in a way that sets a certain tone, a tone of thankfulness, a tone of gratefulness. Speaking of that kind of word, we find these words from Paul in Philippians. We're going to be looking at Philippians first, Philippians chapter 1. I'm going to read 2, 3, and 4. It says this: grace and peace to you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. I thank my God every time I remember you. In all my prayers for all of you, I always pray with joy. When I asked you a minute ago to ask yourself, who is God asking you to call? You may have immediately thought of a family member, perhaps. Understandable. That's a good thing. But I bet if you get to thinking a little deeper, you're going to be thinking of some people beyond your family. You'll think of a neighbor that you hadn't thought to reach out to, or somebody who worships near you on a Sunday morning, people who truly are people you thank God for. But also they're people, as you stop to think about it, they need a positive touch right now. They need a word that brings them peace. Further on in Philippians, Paul writes this, and now we're in chapter 2, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 3. If you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, think of us as the family of Christ. If any comfort from his love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete. Think about making his joy complete by having the same love he had for us, being one in spirit and purpose. As you recognize today, first off, the compassion that God has indeed placed within you, first off, I ask you, prioritize a call by connecting with someone simply by making a phone call. But then secondly, I want you to think of that phrase today in this way as well. Also prioritize a call by recognizing that this is a part of God's call in your life, a part of God's call for you as a follower of Jesus Christ to care for others in this way at this time. I talked earlier about calls that I've made over the last few weeks. In the midst of this pandemic, I ask you to truly prioritize this kind of calling as well. I'm thinking about what God calls you to as a follower of Jesus. Truly, each day I do echo the words of Paul. Grace and peace to you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. I thank my God every time I remember you. Truly, in all my prayers for you, I always pray with joy. I hope that is just a thought today that can not just make a difference for you, strengthen you as you seek out God's call in your life. Hope this is something that's going to bless a lot of people as this message ripples out from all of us and creates a chain of calls being made. Again, don't forget church on Sunday. Check in at 9:30 or 11. Live stream on Facebook. I hope if you normally worship at 8, you'll still check in at one of those times. And let me just say, while messages like this, I think are really important at this time, hope you don't mind on the Sunday mornings, me really staying the path when it comes to a Lenten study, a Lenten series. I think we need that as well as we journey toward the cross, as we journey toward the empty tomb. Have a great day and love to you all.